The Testament of Judah, the fourth son of Jacob and Leah. Chapter 1. Judah, the fourth son of Jacob and Leah. He is the giant, the athlete, warrior. He recounts heroic deeds. He runs so fast that he can outstrip a hind. The copy of the words of Judah that he spoke to his sons before he died. They gathered themselves together, therefore, and came to him. And he said to them, "Hearken, my children, to Judah your father. I was the fourth son, born to my father Jacob. And Leah, my mother, named me Judah, saying, I give thanks unto Yah, because he hath given me a fourth son also. I was swift in my youth, and obedient to my father in everything. And I honored my mother and my mother's sister. And it came to pass, when I became a man, that my father blessed me, saying, Thou shalt be king, prosper in all things. And Yahuda showed me favor in all my works, both in the field and in the house. I know that I raced a hind and caught it, and prepared the meat for my father, and he did eat. And the roes I used to master the chase, and overtake them that were in the plains. A wild mare I overtook. I caught it and tamed it. I slew a lion and plucked a kid out of its mouth. I took a bear by its paw and hurled it down a cliff, and it was crushed. I outran a wild boar, and seizing it as I ran, I tore it asunder. A leopard in Hebron leaped upon my dog, and I caught it by the tail and hurled it on the rocks, and it was broken in twain. I found a wild ox feeding in the fields, and seizing it by its horns, and whirling it around and stunning it, I cast it from me and slew it. And when the two kings of the Canaanites came sheathed in armor against our flocks, and much people with them, single-handed I rushed upon the king of Hazor, and smote him on the greaves, and dragged him down as I slew him. And the other, the king of Tappuah, as he sat upon his horse, I slew. And so I scattered all the people. Achor, the king, a man of giant stature, I found hurling javelins before and behind, as he sat on horseback. And I took up a stone of 60 pounds, and hurled it, and smote his horse and killed it. And I fought with this other for 2 hours, and I clave his shield in twain, and chopped off his feet, and killed him. And as I was stripping off his breastplate, behold, 9 men, his companions, began to fight with me. And I wound my garment in my hand, and I slung stones at them and killed 4 of them, and the rest fled. And Jacob my father slew Belasath, king of all the kings, a giant in strength, 12 cubits high. And fear fell upon them, and they ceased warring against us. Therefore my father was free from anxiety in the wars when I was with my brethren. For he saw in a vision concerning me that an angel of might followed me everywhere, and that I should not be overcome. And in the south there came upon us a greater war than that in Shechem, and I joined in battle array with my brothers, and pursued 1,000 men, and slew of them 200 men, and 4 kings. And I went up upon the wall, and I slew 4 mighty men. And so we captured Hazor and took all the spoil. And the next day we departed from Aritin, a city strong and walled and inaccessible, threatening us with death. But I and Gad approached on the side of the city, and Reuben and Levi on the west. And they were upon the wall, thinking that we were alone. They were drawn down against us, and so my brothers secretly climbed up the wall on both sides by stakes, and entered the city while the men knew it not. And we took it with the edge of the sword. And for those who had taken refuge in the tower, we set fire to the tower, and took both it and them. And we were departing, and as we were departing, the men of Tappuah seized our spoil, and seeing this, we fought with them, and we slew them all, and recovered our spoil. And when I was at the waters of Kazeba, the men of Jobel came against us to battle, and we fought with them, and routed them, and all their allies from Shiloh we slew, and we did not leave them power to come in against us. And the men of Makor came upon us the 5th day to seize our spoil, and we attacked them and overcame them in fierce battle. For there was a host of mighty men among them, and we slew them before they had gone up the ascent. And when we came to the city, their women rolled upon us stones from the brow of the hill upon which the city stood. And I and Simeon had ourselves behind the town, and seized upon the heights, and destroyed this city also. And the next day it was told us that the king of the city of Gash with a mighty host was coming to attack us. I, therefore, and Gad feigned ourselves to be Amorites, and as aliens went into their city. And in the depth of the night our brethren came, and we opened the gates, and we destroyed all the men and their substance, and we took for prey all that was theirs. And their 3 walls we cast down, and we drew near to Thamna, where was all the substance of the hostile kings. Then, being insulted by them, I was therefore wroth, and rushed against them to the summit. And they kept slinging stones against me, and darts. And had not Dan my brother aided me, they would have slain me. But we came upon them therefore with wrath, and they all fled. And passing by another way, they fought my father, and he made peace with them. And we did to them no hurt, and they became tributary to us, and we restored them to their spoil, and we restored to them their spoil. And I built Thamna, and my father built Pabael. I was 20 years old when this war befell, and the Canaanites feared me and my brethren. And I had much cattle, and I had for chief herdsman Iram the Adulamite. And when I went to him, I saw Parshaba, king of Adulam, and he spoke unto us, and he made us a feast. And when I was heated, he gave me his daughter Bathsheba to wife. And she bore me and Onan, and Shelah. And 2 of them Yahuwah smote, for Shelah lived, and his children are ye. Chapter 2. Judah describes some archaeological findings: a city with walls of iron and gates of brass. He has an encounter with an adventuress. And 18 years my father abode in peace with his brother Esau and his sons with us. After that we came from Mesopotamia, from Laban. And when 18 years were fulfilled, in the 40th year of my life, Esau, the brother of my father, came upon us with a mighty and strong people. And Jacob smote Esau with an arrow, and he was taken up wounded to Mount Seir. And as he went, he died at Anarim. And we pursued after Esau's sons. Now they had a city with walls of iron and gates of brass, and we could not enter into it. And we encamped around it and besieged it. And when they opened not to us in 20 days, I set up a ladder on the site, in the sight of all. And with my shield upon my head, I went up, sustaining the assaults of stones, upwards of 3 talents high. And I slew 4 of their mighty men, and Reuben and Gad slew 6 others. Then they asked from us terms of peace, and having taken counsel with our father, we received them as tributaries. And they gave us 500 cores of wheat, 500 baths of oil, 500 measures of wine, until famine, and we went down into Egypt. And after these things, my son took a wife, Tamar, from Mesopotamia, a daughter of Aram. Now was wicked, and he was in need concerning Tamar, because she was not of the land of Canaan. And on the 3rd night, an angel of Yahuda smote him, and he had not known her according to the evil craftiness of his mother, for he did not wish to have children by her. In the days of the wedding feast I gave Onan to her in marriage, and he also in wickedness knew her not, though he spent with her a year. And when I treated him, he went in unto her, but he spilled the seed on the ground according to the commandment of his mother, and he also died through wickedness. And I wished to give Shelah unto her, but his mother did not permit it, for she wrought evil against Tamar, because she was not the daughter of the daughters of Canaan, as she also herself was. And I knew that the race of the Canaanites was wicked, but the impulse of my youth blinded my mind. And when I saw her pouring out wine, owing into the intoxication of wine, I was deceived, and took her, although my father had not counseled it. And while I was away, she went and took Shelah, a wife from Canaan. And when I knew what she had done, I cursed her in the anguish of my soul. And she also died through her wickedness, together with her sons. And after these things, while Tamar was a widow, she heard after 2 years that I was going up to shear my sheep, and adorned herself in bridal array, and sat in the city Enaim by the gate. For it was a law of the Amorites that she who was about to marry should sit in fornication 7 days by the gate. Therefore, being drunk with wine, I did not recognize her, and her beauty deceived me through the fashion of her adorning. And I turned aside to her and said, Let me go in unto thee. And she said, What wilt thou give me? And I gave her my staff, my girdle, and the diadem of the kingdom in pledge. And I went in unto her, and she conceived. And not knowing what I had done, I wished to slay her. But she privately sent my pledge and put me to shame. And when I called her, I heard also the secret words which I spoke when lying with her in my drunkenness. and I could not slay her, because it was from Yahuwah. For I said, less happily she did it in subtlety, having received the pledge from another woman. But I came not near her again while I lived, because I had done this abomination in Israel. Moreover, they who were in the city said there was no harlot in the gate, because she came from another place, and sat for a while at the gate. And I thought that no one had knew that I had gone into her. After this, we came into Egypt to Joseph because of the famine. And I was 46 years old, and 73 years I lived in Egypt. Chapter 3. He counsels against wine and lust as twin evils. For he who is drunken reverenceth no man. Verse 13. And now I command you, my children, hearken to Yahuda your father, and keep my sayings, to perform all the ordinances of Yahuwah, and to obey the commands of Yah. And walk not after your lusts, nor in the imaginations of your thoughts, in haughtiness of heart, and glory not in the deeds of strength and strength of your youth, for this also is evil in the eyes of Yahuwah. Since I also gloried in wars, that no comely woman's face ever enticed me, and I reproved Reuben my brother concerning Bilhah the wife of my father. The spirits of jealousy and fornication arrayed themselves against me, until I lay with Bathshua the Canaanite, and Tamar, who was espoused to my sons. For I said to my father-in-law, I will take counsel with my father, and so I will take thy daughter. And he was unwilling, but he showed me a boundless store of gold in his daughter's behalf, for he was a king, and adorned her with gold and pearls, and caused her to pour out wine for us at the feast with the beauty of women. And the wine turned aside my eyes, and pleasure blinded my heart. And I became enamored of, and I lay with her, and transgressed the command of Yahuwah and the commandment of my fathers, and I took her to wife. And Yahuwah rewarded me according to the imagination of my heart, inasmuch as I had no joy in her children. Now, my children, I say unto you, be not drunk with wine, for wine turneth the mind away from the truth, and inspires the passion of lust, and it leadeth the eyes into error. For the spirit of fornication has wine as a minister, to give pleasure to the mind. For these two take away the mind of a man. For if a man drink wine to drunkenness, it disturbeth the mind with filthy thoughts, leading to fornication, and heateth the body to carnal union. And if the occasion of the lust be present, he worketh the sin, and is not ashamed. Such is the inebriated man, my children. For he who is drunken reverenceth no man. For lo, it made me also to error, and so I was not ashamed of the multitude in the city, in that before the eyes of all I turned aside unto Tamar, and wrought a grave sin, and I uncovered the covering of my son's shame. After I had drunk wine, I reverenced not the commandment of Yah. I took a woman of Canaan to wife. For much discretion needeth the man who drinketh wine, my children, and herein is the discretion in drinking wine. A man may drink so long as he preserveth modesty. But if he go beyond this limit, the spirit of deceit taketh his mind, attacketh his mind, and it maketh the drunkard to talk filthy, and to transgress and not be ashamed, but even to glory in his shame. If ye drink wine in gladness, be ye modest in the fear of the Most High. For in your gladness the fear of Yah departeth, then drunkenness ariseth, and shamelessness settles in. But if ye would live soberly, do not touch wine at all, lest ye sin in words of outrage, and in fightings and slanders, and transgressions of the commandments of Yah, and ye perish before your time. Moreover, wine revealeth the mysteries of God in men, even as I also revealed the commandments of God and the mysteries of Jacob my father to the Canaanitish woman Bathshua, which God bade me not to reveal. And wine is a cause both of war and confusion. And now I command you, my children, not to love money, nor gaze upon the beauty of women, because for the sake of money and beauty I was led astray to Bathshua the Canaanite. For I know that because of these two things shall my race fall into wickedness. For even wise men among my sons shall they mar, and shall cause the kingdom of Judah to be diminished, which Yahuwah gave me because of my obedience to my father. For I never caused grief to Jacob my father, for in all things whatsoever he commanded I did. And Isaac, the father of my father, blessed me to be king in Israel, and Jacob further blessed me in like manner. And I know that from me shall the kingdom be established. And I know that evils ye will do in the last days. Beware therefore, my children, of fornication and the love of money, and hearken to Judah your father. For these things withdraw aught from the law of Yah, and blind the inclination of the soul, and teach arrogance, and suffer not man to have compassion upon his neighbor. They rob his soul of all goodness, and oppress him with toils and trouble, and drive away sleep from him, and devour his flesh. And he hindereth the sacrifice of Yah, and he remembereth not the blessings of the Most High. He hearkeneth not to a prophet when he speaketh, and resenteth the words of godliness. For he is a slave to contrary passions, and cannot obey Yah, because they have blinded his soul, and he walketh in the day as in the night. My children, the love of money leadeth to idolatry, because when led astray through money, men name as gods those who are not gods, and it causeth him who hath it to fall into madness. For the sake of money I lost my children, and had not my repentance and my humiliation and the prayers of my father been accepted, I should have died childless. But the Elohim of my father had mercy on me, because I did it in ignorance, and the prince of deceit blinded me, and I sinned as a man and as flesh, being corrupted through sin. And I learnt my own weakness while thinking myself invincible. Know therefore, my children, that two spirits wait upon man, the spirit of truth and the spirit of deceit. And in the midst is the spirit of understanding of the mind, to which it belongeth to turn whithersoever it will. And the works of truth and the works of deceit are written upon the hearts of men, and each one of them the Lord knoweth. And there is no time at which the works of men can be hid, for on the heart itself have they been written down before Yahuwah. And the spirit of truth testifieth all things, and accuseth all, and the sinner is burnt up by his own heart and cannot rise his face to the judge. Chapter 4. Judah makes a vivid simile concerning tyranny and a dire prophecy concerning the morals of his listeners. And now, my children, I command you, love Levi, that ye may abide, and exalt not yourself against him, lest ye be utterly destroyed. For to me Yahuwah gave the kingdom, and to him the priesthood. And he set the kingdom beneath the priesthood. To me he gave the things upon the earth, and to him the things in the heavens. As the heaven is higher than the earth, so is the priesthood of Yah higher than the earthly kingdom, unless it falls away through sin from Yahuwah and is dominated by the earthly kingdoms. For the angel of Yahuwah told me, Yahuwah chose him rather than thee, to draw near to him, and to eat of his table, and to offer him the first fruits of the choice things of the sons of Israel. But thou shalt be king of Jacob, and thou shalt be amongst them as the sea. For as on the sea, just and unjust are tossed about, some taken into captivity, while some are enriched, so also shall every race of men be in thee. Some shall be impoverished, being taken captive, and others grow rich by plundering the possessions of others. For the kings shall be as sea monsters. They shall swallow men like fishes. The sons and daughters of free men shall they enslave. Houses, lands, flocks, money shall they plunder. And with the flesh of many they shall wrongfully feed the ravens and the cranes. And they shall advance in evil, in covetousness uplifted. And there shall be false prophets like tempests. And they shall persecute the righteous men. And Yahuwah shall bring upon them division, one against another. And there shall be continual wars in Israel. And among men of other race shall my kingdom be brought to an end, until the salvation of Israel come, until the appearing of the Most High of righteousness, that Jacob and all the Gentiles may rest in peace. And he shall guard the might of my kingdom forever. For Yahuwah aware to me an oath that he would not destroy the kingdom from my seed forever. Now I have much grief, my children, because of your lewdness and witchcrafts and idolatries which ye shall practice against the kingdom, following them that have familiar spirits, diviners, and demons of error. Ye shall make your daughters singing girls and harlots, and ye shall mingle in the abomination of the Gentiles. For which things sake Yahuwah shall bring upon you famine and pestilence, death, and the sword, beleaguering by enemies, reviling of friends, the slaughter of children, the rape of wives, the plundering of possessions, the burning of the temple of Yah, and laying waste the land, the enslavement of yourselves among the Gentiles. And they shall make some of you eunuchs for their wives, until Yahuwah visit you, when with perfect heart ye repent and walk in his commandments, and bring you up from the captivity among the Gentiles. And after these things shall a star arise to you from Jacob in peace, and a man shall arise from my seed, like the Son of Righteousness, walking with the sons of men in meekness and righteousness, and no sin shall be found in him. And the heavens shall be opened unto him to pour out the Spirit, even the blessing of the Holy Father, and he shall pour out the Spirit of grace upon you, and ye shall be unto him sons in truth. and ye shall walk in his commandments first and last. Then shall the scepter of my kingdom shine forth, and from your root shall arise a stem, and from it shall grow a rod of righteousness to the Gentiles, to judge and to save all that call upon Yahuwah. And after these things shall Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob arise unto life, and I and my brethren shall be chiefs of the tribes of Israel, Levi first, I the second, Joseph third, Benjamin fourth, Simeon fifth, Issachar sixth, and so all in order. And Yahuwah blessed Levi, and the angel of the presence, me, the powers, glory, Simeon, the heaven, Reuben, the earth, Issachar, the sea, Zebulun, the mountains, Joseph, the tabernacle, Benjamin, the luminaries, Dan, Eden, Naphtali, the sun, Gad, the moon, Asher. And ye shall be the people of Yahuwah, and have one tongue, and there shall be there no spirit of deceit of Beliar, for he shall be cast into the fire forever. And they who have died in grief shall arise in joy, and they who were poor for the Lord's sake shall be made rich, and they who were put to death for Yahuwah's sake shall awake to life. And the hearts of Jacob shall run in joyfulness, and the eagles of Israel shall fly in gladness, and the people shall glorify Yahuwah forever. Observe therefore, my children, the law of Yahuwah, who hold fast unto his ways. And he said to them, Behold, I die before your eyes this day, 119 years old. Let no one bury me in costly apparel, nor tear open my bowels, for this shall they who are kings do. But carry me up to Hebron with you. And Judah, when he had said these things, fell asleep, and his sons did according to all whatsoever he commanded them. And they buried him in Hebron with his fathers. The testament of Judah, the fourth son of Jacob and Leah.